Okay, Bob Weigel here. I just finished fixing up Ray's car, and we determined the actual cause. And you'll see that in the video that follows the actual evidence that shows that the catalytic converter initially burned through the wiring, which was the fault of whoever didn't put the clip back on properly when they fixed his bumper when he got rear-ended. So it wasn't Chrysler's fault as I initially thought maybe, but I found out he had been rear-ended, so whoever didn't fix that up was fault for the initial problem. So what I found was that we had a huge clump of wiring burn because of a 30 amp fuse being put in, which he has a clip here that we can show you where the M&W was taken to a local repair when he finally got here. Oops. And they determined 30 amp instead of 15 amp fuse was put in. Now the question is, where did that fuse get put in? Because whoever did that violated, obviously, a no-no that you never do there, because it can burn the car to the ground and kill somebody potentially. If you're driving along, had smoke fill the cabin, which it did, yeah. But unfortunately got out of it safely, but can make for some very bad accidents. Anyway, so he began this quest purchasing insurance from U-Haul, I guess, right? Go ahead and give the layout of where you went with this.
I went to the Tucson U-Haul there on a, and of course right here it shows that I purchased insurance to make sure that everything would make it up here, and the insurance people there, after we had our incident, did not want to, they tried to look at it, but they said we can't find out who was at fault, because when I first took it in to get the hitch put together, they were having issues with the fuses popping.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know what the wiring is, you need to take it to another place. And I innocently thought, well, okay, I'll go to my other people at BrakeMax and see if they can see what the matter is. And they didn't pinpoint the matter. And so I went, they thought they had solved it, but on the way back to finalize the U-Haul situation, it popped again.
Yeah, the fuses kept popping up. It was an intermittent connection caused by that accident, and so in order to get him on the way, then what happened?
Well, another guy looked at it, other than the one who had put the, they both looked at it, and then he told the other guy who had put the hitch on that he would rewire it, and that was all stupid, that's what they did. I bypassed whatever. That's where I believe that from the switch of the fuse occurred.
Yeah. Well, clearly it didn't happen before that because the fuse blew out.
It blew out again.
It blew out. So 30 amp fuses don't blow out generally very easily until they do some real damage, and that's when the smoke happened, when you got the 30 amp fuse in there.
Yeah, about 100 miles
just
or two
because,
down the road.
Yeah, that's pretty much a telltale sign, and he knew that it was blown, and it was his final response. He was the final person to put a fuse in.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because you didn't have anybody else touch it until this place closed.
We have a name and everything.
Okay,
so I just showed them how it progressed.
I see no excuse for them not to say it's determinative that the people at U-Haul put in the 30 amp fuse that caused the wiring harness to burn up. It didn't cause the initial problem. Somebody should have solved that by taking time to pull the grommet and look. After they determined that it was coming in the rear end, it would have been obvious where it was happening most likely, but they didn't bother doing that. But that's beside the point. Somebody did a very much a no-no thing that caused all the expensive damage. The initial repair should have cost less than $100.
Right.
It should have been just trunking 2 more wires on there with butt connectors, and
they should have tried to figure out what was going on.
On the road you went after they clipped it back on right.
But he told me, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I could drive down the road with the lights
initially.
But then everything started frying.
Then something shorted again. They set you off with an intermittent short.
Yeah.
with a 30 amp fuse loaded to blow you up. So anyway, that's the miracle is
Brigham Young City or whatever it is.
so this is a very obvious fault of U-Haul that they invoked the problem. He paid for insurance and they still tell him sue us because it's a small amount. So just don't buy insurance. It's completely worthless. They can't possibly justify this until this video will stay up until somebody does the right thing and fixes this problem. The integrity of U-Haul or lack of is just astounding on this.
Yeah, I've heard from other people that they've done this before several times.
Oh, yeah. So I see this on a lot of stuff. Just smaller things. They just try to create a bunch of work for you,
right?
And then they just blow you off and ignore you.
Yeah, they told me that they cannot attach it to anyone.
Yeah.
And therefore,
it couldn't be more cut and dried. It couldn't be more cut and dried who did it.
Well, they said because I went to the other place. There's two.
But it blew out after that. Any electronic engineer knows that it didn't blow out a 30 amp fuse there without creating smoke.
No.
So the smoke came after U-Haul. So that's pretty cut and dried, guys. So if you want some exec sees this, maybe if you care about your company, you can fix this problem for my friend Ray here.
That would be nice.
All right. Well, have a good day, I guess.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All righty.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
It was burned on the interconnect that plugs into it right here. All the wire was totally burned off and burned through. That was disconnected from the wiring that remains in the car. My friend's 2006 Chrysler 300. I have put RV goop on here because these were very sharp and somebody could get sliced on them. But not only somebody, but something could get sliced on them, like the license plate wire. And here is the actual place where it started. We've got a catalytic converter here. You see that dark spot? That's where the arcing. I wiped it and it had a bunch of buildup crud on there that I just wiped off my finger, but you can see the insulation right there. If it'll focus. That is where it happened. The thing came out of here, went down there, and laid across that. That's exactly how much length it had to happen. As you can see, the wires have lost a little bit of their protective coating, and it goes on and on, all the way up to the front. There's wires here that I've sorted out. We've got the seat out and everything so we can access everything. It's just a mess. And it just tended to burn the one wire all the way up to the interconnect here, and then on the other side of the interconnect it all looks good. No sign of a wire burning there. And there's a little tip pulling the defroster grill. You'll notice there's some holes right back here. See that in the slot? That tends to pull up. It's kind of weak, and you're prying up and the thing just pulls up. It's really a pain to get out, but it does pop out there if you get the right thing under to pry those up. The front ones come right up when you pop it with a screwdriver, but the back ones continue, and you think it's glued in or something. They don't tell you that. Little details they leave out to leave you wondering what's going on. Also, the steering column thing, the strap isn't there. They show this strap going across that has a screw on each end. It's not there on ours, and I don't know how to get the steering column out. It's apparently a different design, and I haven't figured that out. I hope we don't have to. It's just tilting on the U-joint there right now, so hopefully it doesn't have to. I got all these wires separated. It actually burned the wire in half at that point. You can see the frayed end of it there. It burned the license plate wire, or the running light wire for the back, right there, and just a mess, man. Those wires will have to be worked over that go into the side there, and mess down there. It's just here and there. It's just worse. It cleans up towards the front. I hope we don't have a bunch of trouble up there, but I'm measuring a lot of shorts on that connector. Oh, Lord. People don't take responsibility for what they do. That's the pattern that's been developed in our socialist mindset. Socialist means I don't have to be responsible for anything I do. You can be responsible for it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Even when you pay for insurance. How can they do that? I mean, it's just like my house. Air Controls here in Bozeman send a guy in who does a bad job on the furnace and leaves a motor in there that actually catches the wiring on fire. It could have killed me. I mean, it just smoked the whole house before I found it. There was fire coming out of the side of my furnace. I've had a lot of hard things in my life. Just non-stop there for a while. And they put a thermostat in that cracked when they shoved the screwdriver down too hard. I didn't want the expensive one. I wanted the cheap one that's simple, and I thought it would be more reliable. He said, "I'll show him how reliable it is," and broke the thing, broke the circuit board, and on a minus 30-degree night, wow, guess what happens? The furnace doesn't turn on when I'm on vacation, and I come home to water coming out of the side of the house, and I had just thrown the invoice away, and we can't find any record of it. You liars. Just ridiculous. Of course they had a record of it. And their name, that's all their name means to them. They couldn't file insurance. They had insurance that would have covered it and made it so I didn't have to pay for all the 2 weeks of time it took. It actually flooded twice because the water meter cracked underneath and flooded a second time. Oh, what a pain. People wonder why I'm such a grump sometimes. Yeah, anyway. The Lord works through all these things, I know, but it just seems horrific at the time. And, humanity exposes itself as what it is. You want to have a world that's utopian. How do you do that with people that are self-centered? It just doesn't work. Sorry, folks. Get government out of everything you can. That's your best alternative. Well, I chopped and stripped a ground wire down there. You can see probably that has insulation back to there, but not so good on the other end. Just to show how one of these wires, this is the ground wire that goes through.
Well, the repair came out pretty great. We got everything stuck back where it needed to go, and figured out that the shorts we were measuring were what I'd hoped they were. They were just other lights that were in the front end, which are very low impedance when you're not hot, when they're not burning 12 volt current through there, and being tungsten or whatever bulbs that have a negative resistive coefficient, and they get higher resistance as it heats up, so they can measure near shorted when they're not hot. And it just turned out to be there were 4 shorts or something, which correlated to the headlights, and things in front probably were turned on there. And so everything works great now. We had gotten into the harness enough to know there were no wires that looked like they got hot, except for one that maybe got hot from something laying on it by the manifold or something. I don't know. It was like dished on the top. I thought it looked like it was an externally influenced burn there. And we patched that up and just went with it, and it looks like it's working great. So a lot of time into producing this extra, and hopefully they'll do what's right and not make it all in vain in terms of getting him some payment, because he's out a lot of money for this after paying money for insurance. So don't buy insurance until this video comes down. Basically. Alright, take care.